And it's time for the annual Ground Pass Awards with your hosts, Anastasia Foloronso and Nick Carter.
That that's better than the Oscars. I do not think we could have had a better intro. Welcome everyone to the Ground Pass Awards show. I hope you're ready for some fun and exciting jokes. We are not, who was the last host of the Oscars? Was it Jimmy Kimmel? I don't know, but we're
It
not
might
that
have,
funny.
yeah, no, Jimmy Kimmel rings a bell. I mean, my head's still when Seth MacFarlane hosted it, so I think it's been a while since that happened.
It has been a while since I think Ricky Gervais did it
Yes,
after him for sure. But welcome. We're going to try our best to be as funny as those, but welcome to the Ground Pass Awards show. It has been so fun putting all of these nominees together and, categories and things. We just want this to be a fun episode. So sit back, relax, and get ready for the Ground Pass Oscars.
by the way, for those who want us to dress up, this is the best you're going to get because let's face it, it's Ground Pass and we are the Casual Tennis Podcast. That is what we named this, right?
Yes, that's exactly what we named this show, the Casual Tennis Podcast. This is the best you can get, guys. We have been running around like crazy. We're recording this on Friday. Nick is doing it after work. I had to go pick up some packages because everything closes early for Black Friday. So I put on this fun vintage Coogee sweater and all the jewelry I could find, and Nick has a blazer on. So that's dressing up in our world.
Sure is for me. Sure is for me in general, to be honest. You're lucky I'm not doing this in a hoodie right now. Also, if you are listening to us on Apple Podcasts or audio only, go check us out on YouTube if you want to see all the visual jokes.
Yes, please do, because there are going to be trophies. There are trophies involved. I'm not going to spoil it by showing you who the winner of this trophy is, but there are going to be 3 trophies for our big categories. So sit back, relax. And Nick, let's get into it, starting with our very first category. What was our favorite tournament? So, favorite tournament, first category. Let's go through the nominees. The nominees are the Charleston Open, the Citi Open, and the Ilkley Challenger. Now, thank you everyone who participated in our sort of like social media requests for nominees. It's been really great, like getting all your answers in. Some of them very funny and hilarious, and we will go through those. But Nick, let's go through each of the nominees. I think I'll start with the Charleston Open. I'd never been to the Charleston Open until this year, and I would like to call it the happiest tournament in tennis. There were dogs, and I think that's just what makes a tournament happy. Once dogs are allowed, it makes everything fun. And it's an all WTA event. It's a 500 level WTA event held in Charleston, North Carolina. And all the players that I talked to were just so happy to be there and excited. And it just left a really great lasting impression. So I was really happy when I saw some people write this in as their favorite tournament of the year. It made me really, really happy. So it definitely, I think, deserves a spot among the nominees for favorite tournament.
And the second nominee is the Ilkley Challenger. This is the only tournament other than Wimbledon I went to this year. I'm so glad I did. It's such a different vibe. First time I've actually gone to a Challenger tournament, and I have no regrets. And the thing I really enjoyed about it was it felt like a festival, like a tennis festival. But there were tents, not people camping, but like, pop-up events, and there was definitely enough corporate stuff to let you know that this was a tennis event, a professional event, but there was just so many things around for it to just be a nice family day out for everybody. Like lots of green around. The scenery around Ilkley is gorgeous. It's in the middle of Yorkshire, which is just one of my favorite parts of the whole world, just to look at and just watch all the hills around. And the players absolutely love it too. I think you can tell that it's nice being there and sort of a bit more out the way, and the vibe is just a bit sort of nicer. So if you want the sort of quintessential sort of English fete type of vibe, then I would throw in Ilkley as a sort of a fun alternative event to go to and enjoy.
Yes, challengers, small Smaller events are definitely a key thing for next year, which we'll be talking about soon. And the last nominee for favorite tournament goes to the Citi Open. The Citi Open is a 500 level mixed event held in Washington, D.C. This was my second time at the tournament this year, and it just delivers on everything. It's a small tournament, but with a stacked field. I mean, we had Venus Williams returning to tournament play at the Citi Open. You had Emma Raducanu, you had Naomi Osaka. On the men's side, you had Alex de Minaur, you had Medvedev, you had Taylor Fritz. And because it's a small tournament, everything is so compact. So if you want to get the experience of just sort of seeing your favorite players up close and personal, I do not think you can do better than the Citi Open. And also just the crowds that showed up at the Citi Open. It was so fun and diverse, and it felt like a night out. You kind of described Ilkley as sort of like a family fair event, and so was the Citi Open to some extent. But at night, like, they had these like mini bars and music, and it definitely felt like a vibe and like a night out. So the Citi Open, high on the list. And the food. I didn't even talk about the food at the Citi Open. The Citi Open has some of the best food I've had at a tournament, hands down. So Citi Open is our third nominee. And now it's time for the winner. Nick, drumroll, who's the winner of our favorite tournament of 2025?
The winner of our favorite tournament in 2025 is this is the best I could do to improvise an envelope. It is, of course, if you haven't been paying attention, the Citi Open. Hands down, best event of the year so far of 2025. Like, you probably could have worked out from listening to Anastasia there, like, best all-round experience of visiting, favorite tournament of the year.
Yeah, definitely. I think it was my second time there, and for some reason, it was just, I got to see it even to its highest potential. Like, the first time I went was actually just to see, it was like a finals day. It was when Dan Evans and Coco Gauff won the titles, and that was like 2 years ago. So this was a really, really great experience to go to. You know what? I actually think I lied. This is my third time there. This is my third time at the Citi Open. I just realized, because I went and I watched Coco Gauff and Dan Evans win. That was in 23. In 24 was when we interviewed for the show Mattia Bellucci and Hilavara and Patton, and I went this year. As you can tell, I love this tournament. Okay. Next category. And guys, just a reminder, if you are not watching this, if you're just listening to this on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, you are missing Nick's envelope opening, because that was epic.
Envelope.
In
Totally
big
not
quotations.
a notebook I just grabbed off my desk.
No, that looked like a very actually fancy Oscar type award envelope. It was red, it had gold writing on it. It was perfect. Next up, favorite match. Favorite match of 2025. What are the nominees, Nick?
Well, the first nominee is, the Roland Garros final. And before anyone asks which one, we do mean the men's final, although I do think the women's final was also worthy of consideration for this award. But the men's final got everybody talking. We always said a lot on the podcast about it. It was peak Sincaraz drama at the biggest stage in tennis, and so many people, and it got the world talking about tennis, and that's what we want to see.
Yes, that was a good one. The next one is the Madison Keys and Iga Swiatek semifinal match at the Australian Open. This happened very much at the beginning of the season, but it's not forgotten. That was an epic match. And, it was such a big moment for Madison Keys as a player. But if you forget, and which I almost forgot, Iga had match points during this match. She was this close, and I'm sorry if you can't see, but very close to winning this match and changing history pretty much. So this was an epic match. There were so many sort of like ups and downs in it, and just crazy moments, and Madison Keys was able to sort of stick with it, and her serving during this match was some of the best in the whole tournament. I remember the clip of, and I can't even remember if they were coming off of a changeover or something like that. I can't even remember what the thing is, but there's this clip of Iga going for her towel and then coming back, and Madison's waiting, and then she just serves this ace, and I think it's just all over social media, or at least then it was. But yeah, this goes down as one of our favorite matches, and your favorite matches too. This came up a lot as one of the favorite matches of 2025.
Okay, and then the final nominee is also from the Australian Open, but this time on the men's side, and it's the late night 5-set epic that saw Tien beating Daniel Medvedev. Again, twists and turns. There were match points missed. There was serving for the match missed. It went to the wire. It went to a deciding set tiebreak. And this was a tournament where we were already hyping up the new guys. Joao Fonseca had beaten Andrei Rublev. We'd seen success for Alex Michelsen taking out Stefanos Tsitsipas. Jakub Mensik was doing his thing and starting to really motor his way towards the top 20. Obviously, he goes on to win Miami this year. But Tien, he ends up being one of the stories of the year. He ends up getting so hyped from this match onwards. He starts this rival with Daniel Medvedev that kind of keeps on going throughout the entire year. Very early on, gets a reputation for playing epics, and this was a real breakthrough moment for him, as not only did he show the world what kind of tennis he was, but the world got to know a bit more about him in the process. So big moment for the underdog win, has to go on the list.
Oh, yeah, definitely. This was such a good one. But you're right in that this is when a lot of people discovered who Tien was, because I think he was flying under the radar a little bit. And this was his sort of like coming out moment as an international tennis player. We do have a bonus match in this. Like, some of these categories, we told ourselves we were only picking 3 nominees and picking from those, but we do want to honorably mention some additions. And in this category, we do have one addition to our favorite match of the year, and that goes to Sabalenka, Arena Sabalenka, and Emma Raducanu, but not the Wimbledon match. That was also good, but this specifically is their match at Cincinnati. We actually have a match stories on this match on our social media, so you can go back and check it out to hear from the players and how they felt after the match. But I think this was a big moment for Emma Raducanu. I think she did great at the Wimbledon match, but I think a lot of people would have thought, oh well, but it's grass and she's British, so she should do well there. This was a hard court in the US, and she definitely pushed Sabalenka to the max. So I think this was a really, really great moment for Emma Raducanu, and bodes well for her future, especially this was her first tournament with her new coach at the time. So I think this really does bode well for her going forward. And Nick, who is the winner of the favorite match of 2025?
I mean, it's very generous of you to offer me the opportunity to reveal this winner. Do you want to reveal this one, or as I did the last
Well,
category,
you
or
have the envelope. So I feel like
for
since
crying out
you
loud?
have the
You gave
envelope,
me this stack of you gave me this stack of envelopes. I didn't realize that this is like I'm going to have to do all of these categories.
that's just how it goes, Nick.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Fine. I guess. All right. So, and the winner is, no surprise, it is the Roland Garros final. Carlos Alcaraz, Yannick Sinner, the match that Anastasia labelled as potentially the greatest match of all time. Did a whole video on it. Why would it not win best match of the year? It was the best match of the year. This was no match made as much of an impact as this, really, this season, and certainly it was a talking point for anyone, tennis fan or not, just because of how good, how dramatic, how crazy it was. And it's now the yardstick by which we will measure all future Sincaraz matches going forward.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's going to be a tough one to beat. It's going to be a really tough one to beat, with Alcaraz saving 3 match points to then go on and win the title. What an epic match. And I think in as well in the video that I talked about it, which I will like link up somewhere in the video up here, or if you're watching or listening, sorry, on a podcast player, I'll put it in the show notes. But I think it was also the best match this year just because of the experience it created for people. Like we were all of a sudden in a collective just talking about one match, and that hardly ever happens in tennis. So this was a great moment for a lot of tennis fans and new tennis fans discovering tennis, because it was kind of the beginning of the Sincaraz finals domination that then went on throughout the rest of the year. Okay, next up, breakthrough / most improved player of the year in 2025. Now, they have been a lot of players this year that have had great moments, and we couldn't pick only a guy or only a girl. So we're going to have two categories. We're going to have best male and best female, equal opportunity. So, nominees for the best male player, most improved of the year. The nominees are Jaume Munar, breakthrough year for him. He's like, since the Dallas Open, he's just shown a different level of tennis. Someone who maybe had the reputation of being a quote unquote dirt baller, as they say, mostly good on clay, showed that he is more than that. He's had some epic matches this year, including one at Queens against Carlos Alcaraz, which was epic. Went the distance with that one. Definitely high on the list of most improved. Another player, our second nominee, Ben Shelton. Ben Shelton is now a top 5 player. That's no, top 10. Yes.
Top
Because I
10.
think it's,
Yes,
yeah,
he's top 10. He just missed top 5.
just missed top 5. He was top 5 for like a week or a few days. But that's incredible for a player who's only been on tour professionally for a couple of years. He's doing very, very well for himself, improving every day. I think he's a player who, when he started out, people were just like, oh, well, he's just a big server and like a fun crowd pleaser kind of player. But he's really worked on those ground strokes and being able to hang more in rallies. So he definitely is nominee for most improved. And last nominee on the men's side is Jack Draper. Jack Draper came out of nowhere to win Indian Wells this year. I think he has sort of been the heir apparent to the Andy Murray throne, and it's just never happened. He's been injured and just in this constant development stage, and I think this year was his coming out party. He also got to the final at the Madrid Open, which is a clay court tournament. So he's showing range. He's showing range for sure. He did well at Queens, but not really well at Wimbledon. But still, I think if we're thinking of most improved players, we have to put Jack Draper on the list on the men's side. Before we pick a winner, Nick, who are the nominees on the women's side?
Well, the nominees for the women breakthrough most improved player of the year. We need a snappier title for this. Vicky Mboko, who, she obviously went from this sort of young, exciting talent that only a few people knew about to causing a buzz, like even before she broke out onto the main tour, breaks out onto the main tour in style in Miami, and then ends up winning her home tournament in Montreal, which is amazing. One of the most talked about stories of the year. Won another title in Hong Kong, is now top 20, and she's still 18. So, yeah, exciting talent coming through there. Amanda Anisimova, I would say, is also, big breakthrough year for her. Broken to the top 20 by winning in Doha. Before that, she was kind of started the year outside the top 40 and climbed in, and now she's top 4 and arguably one of the best players in the world, like truly rivaling Arena and Iga and Coco in terms of like status and quality and just reliability to win these big matches. She's up there now. And so that's a huge step for her this season. And the last one, I am going to go with Eva Lys, who had her breakout moment at the Australian Open this year, reaching the last 16. And then that's kind of changed her year pretty much. And made her a top 100 player, and she's gone on a bit of a journey with that. She actually did a recent interview with the Tennis Insider Club with Caroline Garcia that was kind of, she shared about sort of the impact that breaking through had on her. Very much a player that's been talked to a lot about since coming through in Australia. So those are the three nominees on the women's side.
Excellent choices. Excellent choices. Definitely a few of these players came up more in our social media requests than others. But Nick, who are the winners of our breakout / most improved player of the year for 2025?
I thought you had the other envelope.
I've lost all my envelopes. I feel like you have the envelope to be used for this event.
Okay, fine. So men's breakthrough most improved player of the year award is Jaume Munar from Spain. Yeah, well deserved. Jaume, big year, big moments, and a true ground passer. So yeah.
Definitely a true ground passer. Showed up so well for his country at the Davis Cup as well. So well deserved for most improved player of this year. And the
for the women, the winner is Vicky Mboko from Canada. You know, she's 18 years old. She's not the world number 18. This is, I don't think you can get as big a breakthrough as this, to be honest, anywhere. Going from hyped talent to top player in a year. Yeah, that's a big step. Obvious choice, in my opinion. I'm very excited to see what else she does.
Yeah, another person who came through for her country at the Davis Cup qualifiers very recently. She won all of her singles matches and doubles matches to get Canada into the qualifying for the Billie Jean King Cup for next year. Next up, biggest plot twist. Let's have some fun. What was the biggest plot twist of the year of 2025? There were a lot to pick from. I think we have to start with Alcaraz losing to Goffin in Miami. This, for me, was one of the biggest plot twists of the year because, first of all, just starting the season for Alcaraz was very odd and weird this year. He did get to the quarterfinals of the Australian Open. He won in Rotterdam. He got all the way to the semifinals of Indian Wells. So he wasn't, top of the pops, as they say, but he was definitely not scheduled to lose his first round of the Miami Open to David Goffin. No shade to David Goffin, but he was not the one I would have picked to beat Carlos Alcaraz. And Carlos Alcaraz actually recently, in an interview that he did during the end of year finals, when he was asked what was his worst moment of the season, he mentions this match. So this was definitely a big plot twist. And it got everyone thinking, is Alcaraz about to have his worst season ever? I remember all the chatter back then was like, is he gonna not do it this year, especially when this was also happening during the time Sinner was suspended from the tour and everyone expected Alcaraz to just, become the number one player immediately, and it just was not happening for him. Nick, what was also another big plot twist of this year?
Well, the year started with a pretty big plot twist, and that was when Madison Keys won the Australian Open. And yeah, for this one, it's interesting because if I remember back to Australian Open, the women's side, it felt like it was going to be all about this big clash between the top players. You had Aryna Sabalenka, who was defending, 2 Australian Open titles going into it, and playing really well. She was on a winning streak. You had Iga Swiatek potentially unveiling Iga 2.0 with her new coach Wim Fissette and crushing her way through the draw. And you had Coco Gauff in probably the form of her life, having come off winning the WTA finals at the end of last season, playing really, really well up until the quarterfinals when Paula Badosa showed up and rocked her world. And in the middle of this was Madison Keys, who was playing this sneaky good tennis and had won Adelaide the week before, beating Jessica Pegula in the final. She'd also been to the quarterfinals in Auckland, and she was just really in a really good place. And we were referencing back the semi-finals. We were 1 point away, had Iga converted match point from the very first Sabatek Grand Slam final, which is something that tennis fans have been waiting for a while, really excited about what that could produce. I actually think Iga had a good chance of taking it to Aryna in that final. yeah, Madison Keys had other ideas, and then she shows up, and we're like, okay, well, how's she going to be? Because she's been in a Grand Slam final before, and she didn't cope well with the pressure. Boy, did she cope well with the pressure this time, to the point where she stuck it out late in a third set with Arena Sabalenka in on her home turf, kinda grits out that win, and then obviously all the stories coming out of like how she's made peace with herself about the idea that she may never win a slam um, after everything. So yeah, plot twist: Madison Keys upsetting this group of players at the Women's Australian Open and saying, "Nah, it's my turn now. You guys can pick up the rest of the slams. This one's mine."
Yeah, yeah. No, that was a big plot twist for the year. And I think it really did affect the year in general, like having Madison Keys win and then also come out with her story as well. I think it affected a whole bunch of players, and it was a great way to start the season. Our last nominee for the biggest plot twist of 2025 has to go to FA becoming a top 10 player, because nobody called that.
Nope.
Nobody called that. In fact, everyone was saying the exact opposite.
Anastasia, I just realised he's not even a top 10 player. I think he's top 5.
He's top five. He
He's now
is
top
top
5.
five. He took that spot that Ben Shelton had. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is something I don't think anyone would have called for this season. Now, it's not FAA's first time being a top 10 player, but in recent years, he just has not hit the same highs. He did start off the year well, which I think a lot of people forget. He did win a title, two actually, at the beginning of the year, Adelaide and then Montpellier. But he had like a very sort of so middle of the season, and then came alive during the US Open, getting all the way to meeting with Yannick Sinner and pushing him in that match. So he ended the year well as well, getting his, getting to the ATP finals. I think we could even add that as a plot twist. Like the whole thing, FAA becoming a top 5 player, making it to the year end finals. He was not on the list for anyone there. So, yeah, he is our nominee. And we actually have a bonus one in this one as well, because again, there were so many plot twists this year. Nick, what was our little bonus plot twist for this year?
I'd say, yeah, plot twist, like unexpected, fun side character that everybody loves. Um, Alex Ayala in Miami beating Madison Keys and Iga Swiatek and going 3 sets with Jessica Pegula and playing the tennis of her life. Big breakthrough moment for Alex, and which generated so much hype from the Philippines and around the world. She and that moment of, I think the overriding moment was her like even finding the joy in losing and realizing that she had a great run and played a great match against Jessica Pegula in that semi-final. But yeah, she completely again just shook up the tennis world, especially when she beat Iga in Miami. And now there's just hype wherever she goes. And yeah, Alex Ayala, we weren't talking about before the year started. We are now. And that's why we're going to call it a plot twist.
Yes, definitely. And in that run too in Miami, she beat Yelena Ostapenko. Like
Oh, yeah.
she really like did a number at that Miami Open tournament and pretty much changed her entire career, because like you said, she's now going to be a factor at every single tournament that she's in. She brings in so many eyeballs and so many new fans to the sport of tennis, and isn't that what we want? Nick, who is the winner of our biggest plot twist of 2025?
And the winner of biggest plot twist is it's Madison Keys winning the Australian Open. Should be no surprise. That was the plot twist to end all plot twists. We were talking about it for a good few months after that. It redefined, I think it's the moment that redefined narratives in terms about how we talk about players. And yeah, nobody saw it coming. You could say with FAA, he's done it before, even if he didn't look like doing it again. You could say it with, Alcaraz maybe wasn't looking amazing going into the match with Goffin. I don't know if anyone called this one. I don't know if you could have called this one. And that's the beauty of tennis.
Yeah, that is the beauty and joy of tennis. Okay, now on to our next category, best off court moment of 2025. Now, these are just moments that happened outside and around of tennis. First nominee has to be the photo that broke the internet. Carlos Alcaraz sitting in his parents' living room watching the Davis Cup. Never has a photo been so loved by so many. Carlos Alcaraz, that photo, you did it. You broke the internet.
Yeah, well done, Carlos. I'm going to go for another viral kind of internet moment. That was from the end of the year, the Alcaraz photo. I'm going to go to the beginning of the year, and I'm going to talk about Eva Lys's viral moment at the Australian Open on making it into the last 16. She, I think, she was given an interview with an Australian presenter, it might have been a comedian, and he said, "Do you want to know how much prize money you want?" And her reaction when he told her, my description of it was, if Kaching had a face, that was the face that she made. It's like emoji in human form in that moment of her realizing how much her life as a tennis player is going to change, that she's got a bit more money in the bank, that she can go into these bigger tournaments, that she can afford to keep some money back. It's not going to be as harsh a year as she may have experienced being outside the top 100 for so long. And let's not forget, she was a lucky loser. So it's not all about the money, but it helps.
Yes.
So
Yes.
yeah, I'm going to go with Eva Lys.
That was a great moment. That was all over social media when it happened. The final moment, best off court moment of 2025. And I feel like almost this has a two-part to it, but definitely we have to talk about strawberry pasta. Like, for a moment in time, strawberry pasta that we had no idea existed as a world before this
Outside Poland.
Wimbledon, outside of
Outside
Poland.
Poland.
We all were, introduced to strawberry pasta. And I cannot tell you the number of people I saw online either cooking it and trying it and showing their ways of making it. And Iga Swiatek, you did the thing. You made strawberry pasta the most popular thing for basically a week in tennis. So that was really, really fun moment. And the reason why I say this might have a part two is because it was between this and her just like taking every single Wimbledon towel there was available.
It kind of made that Wimbledon.
She just kept taking these towels, so much so that the tournament embroidered her name on one of them and gave it to her at the end of the tournament. So strawberry pasta is one of the best off-court moments of 2025. And the winner, Nick.
I still need to try strawberry pasta.
You are going to have to try it first before I do. I am not going there.
And the winner of best off-court moment 2025 is, there we go, it's the Alcaraz at home photo. Nothing broke the internet quite in the same way. Yes, those other moments got us talking, but strawberry pasta is a love it or hate it thing. And I don't know how many people remember Eva Lys, but let's face it, if that's bigger than Alcaraz winning the French Open, it's got to be the best off-court moment.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. For just if you want to know what Nick is talking about, there's a photo that Alcaraz posted of him winning Roland Garros. It has less likes and less views than the photo that he posted of his living room with all his trophies on the shelf. So there you go. What's more important, a living room photo or winning a Grand Slam? Right now, it's a living room photo. Gonna take a little mini break before we get into the final categories that will be winning mini trophies. They're the top categories that we have of favorite tennis story and best ground pass player, male and female. Let's do some quick fire round. Let's do a quick fire round, Nick, of just sort of like fun little categories that we thought of. And I think these answers will be very interesting.
All right, and feel free to send us your answers to these categories as well. We're just literally going to tell you who won it, no kind of other hype or other nominees. These are quick fire. So, first one of these was the best crowd, and the winner of this is Roland Garros, which
always.
Yeah, I think we're going to end up having to call this the Roland Garros Award if we keep doing this, because that French crowd brings an atmosphere like no other, especially when a French player is playing. It's loud, it's raucous, and they keep each other entertained, and they don't even need the tennis.
They don't even need the tennis. They could just do it all by themselves. But we love the French crowd. Craziest tournament food. Guys, what is the craziest food you've ever had in a tournament? I want all of you to please write in what the craziest food is, because for me, the craziest food I've ever had at a tournament was $100 chicken nuggets from the US Open. You must have seen this on social media, guys. They, at the US Open, they had this sort of $100 chicken nuggets that had caviar and creme fraiche and all this stuff. Definitely the craziest things. Don't worry, I didn't pay for it. I am not paying $100 for chicken nuggets. But a friend of mine actually works at the restaurant that makes them. And it was one of the craziest meals I've ever had at a tournament. Are they good? Yes. Are they worth $100? You be the judge. I'll leave a photo of what they look like.
Can we not start a US Open prices rant again? I've had enough of those this year.
Fine.
Another episode. Oh, okay, next one. Shot/point of the year. And this is from a part of the year that a lot of people forget, which is kind of February time, because it's not a Grand Slam season. It's not a swing. It's kind of a lot of swings happening at the same time. This is from Dubai. And this is Karolina Muchova. If you want to see it, the WTA recently posted it on their social media if you want to watch it back. This is a tweener, a between the legs shot that lands on the baseline. Position, flair, take a bow, Karolina Muchova showing off everything we love about her as a player and her absolute raw talent that she's got. Well-deserved semi-final run of that tournament and well-deserved for the best point of the year.
Yeah, I'm gonna leave a link to that point because it's totally epic. It's literally a tweener lob that lands this close to the baseline. It's epic. Karolina Muchova is just like she has the most flair, I think, on the WTA tour, and we always love watching her. And she produces these shots on the regular, so you should be watching her. Most emotional moment of this year, I think the most emotional moment has to go to Coco Gauff winning Roland Garros. That was a moment. And I think you go through all of the emotions, especially if you consider watching that final as well. But I just remember that was one of our matches that we watched together as a group at the very first editions of Ground Pass screenings at McCarran Park. Watched that final with a whole bunch of people who were super excited to see Coco Gauff win. And just Coco's emotions. I remember her falling to the ground and just looking so surprised and happy at the same time. And then she also posted that photo of all of her sort of like affirmations and wishes for that tournament, and winning Roland Garros was there. And it's just like, it was like a full circle, emotional, beautiful moment. And I think it's one that, you know, she definitely is not going to forget from this season, and a lot of fans as well will not forget. It not only was about her winning the tournament, it was about her whole history with the city of Paris. You know, she's always done well at Roland Garros. That's where she also graduated from high school back in the day. I remember seeing that photo of her in her graduation gown by the Eiffel Tower. So yeah, most emotional moment of 2025 goes to Coco Gauff winning Roland Garros.
Next one, most overhyped storyline. And for me, well, for us, it has to be my insistence, I admit. Iga is struggling as the most overhyped storyline. And we're mainly talking for the first 6 months of the year up until Wimbledon, when Iga winning Wimbledon kind of shut everybody up, and that was no longer the narrative. Because at that point, even though she lost, it was like, well, at least she won Wimbledon. She did win 2 more titles, though, in Cincinnati and in Seoul, both in style as well. But yeah, the beginning of the year was all about Iga making semi-finals and quarterfinals on the regular, struggling to make finals, but still demonstrating a very high level of consistency and not necessarily being that far off being in the... She was always in the mix for winning titles. But because she wasn't winning, and the narrative around Iga Swiatek is that she wins in terms of tournaments, that was it. That was kind of what all everyone was talking about was, why isn't Iga holding a trophy? Where's the trophy? Where's the trophy, Iga? And it was getting very tiresome to kind of see this narrative of like, but like when you look at it, she's doing well. She's racking up points. She's still going to be top 10 if she carries on like this. Like she's still beating more people than she's losing to. She's still one of the most consistent players on tour. And it didn't feel like she was that far off, certainly, especially around Roland Garros time. So, yeah, that was a storyline that was way too overhyped and made more of than it needed to be. And Iga ending that in style with winning Wimbledon was a good way to put that to bed.
Yeah, yeah. I think also that's one of those cases of when you are on top of your game, almost the expectations people put on you are much higher than normal. Because if I was struggling with Iga's results this year, I'd take it. I would take that struggle.
Yeah.
I would like give me that struggle because I will take it. But because it's Iga Swiatek, she's just expected to win everything. So people put her at a different standard than they would most players. I think most players would take her first 6 months of the year immediately. Immediately. Okay, and our last little quick fire round here is biggest missed opportunity. And I am so sorry, but Alejandro Davidovich Fokina had the biggest missed opportunities of 2025. First being losing the final in Del Rey, that he was ahead in. How he lost that match to Kecmanovic is still something I think about today. I can't imagine what he's thinking. And then he does it again in the summer at the Citi Open when he's playing against Alex de Minaur. And we've all seen the photos of Alex going over and sitting with him on the bench, trying to comfort him. But ADF, he can't win a final. He's 0-5, I think, right now in finals. Hopefully one day he'll get there. Hopefully one day he will get there.
Anastasia, I thought you were going to say that his biggest missed opportunity was not playing for the Davis Cup team.
Guys, I don't know when Nick became this person. That was very shady, Nick. That was very shady. And a lot of people in our YouTube comments are going to come for you, but that was so fun.
I mean, I insulted the Americans last week. I may as well insult the Spanish as well.
Just bring it on. Nick has become spicy, guys. I love it. I love to see it. Okay, now on to our last three categories, or the last three. Starting with the tennis story of the year. What was the story for us that defined 2025? And we have three nominees. The nominees are number one, the cousin final. What else can we say? We've talked about this ad nauseum. We have a match stories about it. We have like 3 Instagram short stories, short videos about it. I'll link them all. But the cousin final at the Shanghai Masters between Valentin Vachereau and his cousin Arthur Rinniknecht is one of the stories of all of tennis. I think if you had scripted a movie that said a player outside of the top 200 would play his cousin in the finals of a Masters event after he had beaten Novak Djokovic, no one would believe you. In fact, we would call it ridiculous and something that definitely would never happen in real life, except it did. So the cousin final is our first nominee for the story of 2025.
Our second nominee for the story of 2025 is Venus Williams at the Citi Open. Her comeback tournament, and boy, what a comeback. Crowds packed, every possible seat filled in these makeshift stadiums in Washington, D.C., in a park, to watch Venus Williams playing singles and doubles. And boy, did she put on a show, because she beat Peyton Stearns in her first round and acquitted herself well in her second match, even though she lost. And then her run with Hailey Baptiste, taking out some decent doubles teams to only lose to Taylor Townsend and Zhang Shui. This was what everybody wanted to talk about. The Citi Open was all about Venus Williams, and it made the hype for her return to the US Open even bigger, because they were saying a lot more belief in what a 40-something-year-old Venus Williams could do. And yeah, it was exciting to see her back on court, doing her thing and doing it well.
Yeah, definitely a big story of the 2025 season. Those few weeks after she was given the wild card was all people could talk about. Um, This was a very funny addition, our last nominee for the tennis story of the season, straight from our social media on Instagram. Again, thank you guys so much for participating in our call for nominees. Our third nominee for the favorite story of the 2025 season goes to Taylor Townsend and Yelena Ostapenko at the US Open. This, when I first saw it, actually surprised me that someone brought this up as the best story, but it was a story. It dominated the headlines, especially here in the States during the US Open, was all people could talk about. And because Taylor Townsend did so well in the singles and she got all the way to the fourth round and also got all the way to the finals of the doubles, people just kept talking about it, dominated the headlines for basically 2 weeks at the US Open. The story of Yelena Ostapenko and Taylor Townsend will just go down in history because even today I'll see people bring up that story and what happened during the match. So if you're going for notoriety, I would say this definitely falls into one of the stories of the 2025 season. Nick, and the winner.
Well, all we can say is that Yelena Ostapenko and Taylor Townsend will not be teaming up to play doubles together. Thankfully, they cannot beat our double act. The winner of best story of the year it's the cousin final. It's the cousin
Duh.
final.
Of course.
What else was it going to be? That was by far our favourite story from the entire year. What a moment. Please make a movie of that.
Please make a movie. Who's going to make the movie? Please. I can't imagine. Like, who's gonna play the cousins? Oh my goodness. Maybe. Hey guys, who do we think is going to be cast in the cousin final movie? Who is going to play the cousins? Please leave your picks in the comments. I want to hear them. Okay. Oh, I forgot.
And Anastasia, would you please present the award that we are going to? They're not here. They said they couldn't attend the event.
You know what? We actually did reach out to the winners and ask them to please come and attend the event. But they were not, they were busy. It's the off season and everyone's in the Maldives. So they couldn't quite make it to our award show. But we still have a trophy for them. So the award for the cousin final is here. It goes to Valentine Vachereau and Arthur Rindicknash. And if we see them in 2026, we have your trophy for you. Okay, next up, it's time. It is time, Nick. It is time to pick our ground pass players of the year. Now, Nick and I picked these nominees from former players of the fortnight. I think that was the best way to do it. These are players that we have talked about throughout this season of Ground Pass, and they all deserve their spot in here. We'll go back and forth of all the nominees, and starting with the men. First nominee for Player of the Year, and I guess I should just say Players of the Year, because the first nominees are, of course, Christian Harrison and Evan King. If you did not expect them to be nominees, you have not been listening to Ground Pass at all, is basically it. But they are the doubles team that came from needing a wild card to qualifying and getting all the way to the ATP finals at the end of the season. And that is incredible. So they definitely do deserve a spot as one of our nominees for Player of the Year. Nick, who is your first pick for Player of the Year?
It's on the women's side. So, my first pick is the fairy tale run of Roland Garros. The woman who came in as a wild card, having missed her opportunity the previous year, beat two top 10 players, and was the star for the home crowd of the semi-finals. It's Lois Boisson, who, maybe also got famous for a couple of other things this year, but we're not necessarily going to talk about those. We're going to focus on Roland Garros. What a moment it was for her. And I think in terms of results by a player that you could see from outside the top 20, probably the biggest result from any player outside the top 20 has been achieved this year. Grand Slam semi-final, unseeded run, so exciting to see. And I'm very, very pleased that she's going to be nominated and noticed in these awards.
Yes, definitely a good one. And then the second nominee for Best Player of the Year goes to Jaume Munar. I just think he had such a great season. I think he's the most improved player that was not expected. I don't think anyone had Jaume Munar even in their rear view mirror. Like, he came out of nowhere to do so well in Dallas and then carried on that momentum throughout the year. So Jaume Munar is our second nominee for Best Player of the Year on the men's side.
Our second nominee for Best Player of the Year on the women's side is a player that is recommended to us by one of our Meet the Professionals interviews that we've done throughout the year. And if you haven't listened to all of those series that we did throughout this year, I would highly recommend going out and checking those out. We spoke to a lot of people. Sonay Kartal was mentioned by Abigail Johnson when we interviewed her, and that interview came out around about the time she did well at Indian Wells. Following that up with a last 16 run at Wimbledon, a quarter-final run in Beijing. Sonay Kartal is definitely one of those repeated Grand Pass players who will pop up. She's a great fighter. She will keep you entertained when she's on and doing well, and is super motivated to prove herself. Very exciting talent, particularly at Beijing King Cup. So yeah, have to put Sonay Kartal on as a nominee.
And our third nominee on the men's side goes to lefty Tien. Really, really great season. I think a lot of people talked about how his season was maybe overshadowed a bit by one said Brazilian player, João Fonseca. But I think Tien is sort of just silently had such a great year, ending it with winning his very first ATP title and Mentz. And yeah, I think he has currently only second to Alcaraz and Yannick Sinner, the most top 10 wins of the season. He just loves a top 10 player and loves to beat them. But Tien, I think, backed up the hype that he had before he turned pro. When Tien was still sort of on the challenger circuit, when he was still in college, he had such a huge winning streak. And a lot of people wondered how that would translate to the main tour. He's not super tall. He doesn't have a massive serve, but he has definitely shown his talents over the year and shown that he is one to watch in the future, and is now one of the top, American players. So Tien gets our third spot for the nominee of Player of the Year.
Well deserved. Tien. Right. So before I reveal my third actual nominee, I'm just going to say bonus mention. I didn't make her Player of the Fortnight, which is why she's not in there, but I did originally want to put Belinda Bencic in. But and then I realized I never gave her Player of the Fortnight, and I remembered why. There was lots of other great stories that the year, but have loved seeing her come from outside the top 400 to number 11, back from being off to have kids. I have a kid. The actual nominee is, similar thing to Anastasia, putting my breakthrough Player of the Year in, Vicky Mboko, who, I put her in here because you could have seen her rise on a Grand Pass. You could have seen her rise going to small tournaments. Good luck maybe coming to see her now, because she's going to be a big draw now she's won Montreal. Especially, she's going to be on big stages in Canada forever now. But I think she is someone who, you couldn't really miss her story, and was a must-watch on a Grand Pass when you could. Just her, but also her stadium presence has been so impressive. So for me, another Player of the Year nominee, Vicky Mboko.
Yes, so many great picks for nominees. Again, we had so many to pick from. Over this season alone, we've had over 15 players each on the men and women's side of players of the fortnight. I would go back and listen to all of them. I might do a compilation. I don't know. If I have time, I'm not going to promise anything, but if I have time, I might do a compilation of all of our players of the fortnight from the beginning of the season. Maybe that will be a late off-season project for me to do. But Nick, of all the people we have picked over this season, who are we crowning the player of the year? Let's start with the women.
Start with women. Okay. So, the women's player of the year is Vicky Mboko, who
Yay!
wins her trophy, another trophy to add to the titles from Montreal and Hong Kong. Well deserved. And I had to pick her because when I went to Wimbledon this year with my mum, like we had court 2 tickets, but obviously we had access to the grounds. And I specifically said, Vicky Mboko is playing, although we didn't know she liked being called Vicky at the time. Victoria Mboko is playing. We have to go watch her. This girl's going to be big. No regrets. Watched her win her match against Magdalena Freck in style. And yeah, look at her now. So yeah, has to be a Grand Plus player of the year for me.
Yeah, that's, I mean, just the season that she has had, just incredible. Winning again late in the season in Hong Kong. Yeah, she's definitely had a 2025 to remember, and can't wait to see what she does in 2026. She's definitely one to watch.
The winner of the men's Ground Pass player of the year is Chris Harrison and Evan King. Oh no. So, sorry, there's been a mistake. Jaume Munar won the best player of the year on the men's side on Grand Pass. And I've just got fired.
But I know, I see what you did there. I see what you did there because, yes, all we do is talk about Chris Harrison and Evan King. So it might be easy to just say their names as the players of the year. But no, we're giving this one to Jaume Munar, who's had an excellent season. He's not, I think, the player you would pick, for best player. He's definitely under the radar for a lot of people. But let me tell you, he should not be under the radar. If you watched him during Davis Cup this year and the way he played some of those matches, if he can take that sort of Sampras serve and volley technique and bring it into the 2026 season, he might just be one of the most entertaining players to watch in 2026. So, Jaume Munar, you are our Ground Pass player of the year on the men's side. But we still love you, Chris Harrison and Evan King, because you are the ground passers forever from now on.
I mean, that was a little bit of a cheeky thing as well from me because I obviously knew it was Jaume Munar, but Chris Harrison and Evan King, I was so certain going into this episode that was who Anastasia was picking that I had to show my surprise that it wasn't them. But Jaume Munar was definitely well deserved because we just couldn't shut up about it the whole year either.
Yeah. Yeah. People actually online know us as the Jaume Munar podcast, believe it or not.
That's the Spanish version.
Exactly. That's the other podcast. Yes.
We do too many podcasts.
We do too many. We really do too many. Okay. So thank you, everyone. That was a fun episode. We want to end this episode with maybe just one big, bold prediction for 2026 before we wrap up this episode. Nick, what is your bold prediction for 2026, the upcoming season? What do you think is going to happen?
A doubles match is going to be shown on primetime TV. That's bold pick.
Okay, that is a bold pick.
Yeah, and the reason for that is I was inspired because BBC Sport recently did a kind of a deep dive on their website, and it was kind of it wasn't hidden away. Like it was one of the first things you could see of them interviewing Cash and Glasspool and looking at the success of British doubles. Maybe we're going to start seeing Wimbledon cashing in on that, and if not, there's still going to be plenty of American excitement. You could always And Australia, or a decent Australian double team, getting the love in Australia. We've seen it before. But yeah, that's what I'm going for. Primetime doubles in 2026.
Okay, big and bold prediction. You did not go small there, Nick. I love it. And I would really love for your prediction to come through because I think a lot of these doubles teams, even on the women's side too, you kind of have a point there. I can almost see a Taylor Townsend doubles match being on prime time already. So it would be really fun and interesting if doubles could get more of that prime time love in 2026. My bold prediction for 2026 is 2026 is going to be the year of the small tournament. It is time. It is time, guys. No more spending all of your money on the US Open or even maybe flying out to Indian Wells because those are the tournaments with the names. I think in 2026, it's time to discover the smaller tournaments. So you can expect us on Ground Pass to champion, as we always do anyway, smaller tournaments and going to smaller tournaments. We'll be talking about that for sure all of 2026. And I hope the trend kicks on and people join us in making small tournaments more popular because they are more accessible to the most people. That's my bold prediction.
Spot on.
Yes.
I would love to see more and more small tournaments sold out. That'd be great.
Yes, that would be really, really fun. So, again, thank you guys for joining us for this fun, loose episode of Ground Pass. This has been our year in review award show. Super fun, but it's only part one. We are going to have a part two, which will be our year in review of tennis fashion and culture. I will be joined by Jessica of Hardcourt Tennis for that episode. So keep your eyes on your inboxes. So, if you haven't yet subscribed to the podcast wherever you listen to podcasts or even to our YouTube channel, do that ASAP because you are going to have a bonus episode with our part two review show. Also, coming up is the UTS final. That's right. UTS is happening in London and Ground Pass is going to be there. It's not going to be me or Nick. It is going to be Kaya, who has been on the podcast before. She did our fashion episode with me during Roland Garros. She is going to be covering the UTS finals in London for Ground Pass. Excited for Kaya to cover UTS. I do not know a lot about UTS, but I have been learning, Nick. I don't know how much you follow UTS, if at all, but I'm excited to cover a different side of the sport that is becoming more and more popular, I feel like. Like, I saw a few of their sort of matches from this summer during the clay court season, especially the one that they did at some sort of Coliseum type venue in France. And the crowds were insane. I have never seen crowds that big for a tennis tournament. It looked great. So definitely excited to learn more about UTS and bring all of that learning to you guys. Okay. So that is all we have for you this episode. Again, thank you for joining us. If you're listening to this on a podcast listener of your choice, Apple Podcast, Spotify, whatever it is, please leave us a rating and review. It really does help. And if you're watching us on YouTube, like and subscribe. It really means the world. We'll see you guys later. Bye, guys.
See you next year. Bye.